there, and welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. Today, we're diving into a really intriguing concept, the Coast Fire strategy.
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach to retirement planning that allows you to save and invest at a different pace, you know?
Exactly. For those who might not be familiar, Coast Fire stands for Coast Financial Independence. It's all about reaching a point where your investments can grow without needing to contribute much more, if at all, to reach your retirement goals.
Right. And it's perfect for folks who want to enjoy life now while still being smart about their future.
We'll be covering some key points today, like how to determine if this strategy is right for you, the benefits it brings, and some potential pitfalls to watch out for.
And we'll also talk about how to calculate your Coast Fire number, which is, super important for making this strategy work.
So, whether you're just starting your retirement journey or you're already well on your way, we've got some valuable insights that could help you feel more secure and maybe even enjoy your current lifestyle more.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance, right?
Yes. So let's jump right into it, starting with what exactly Coast Fire means and how it can fit into your overall retirement plan.
So, Emily, one of the reasons the Coast Fire strategy is so relevant right now is because of the current landscape of retirement planning. It's really shifting.
Yeah, absolutely. With so many people facing uncertainty in the market, it feels like it's more important than ever to have a solid plan.
Exactly. And let's talk about timelines for a second. Many folks are reevaluating their retirement dates. With inflation on the rise, people are asking themselves, can I really afford to retire when I thought I could?
Right. And that's a big question. Inflation affects everything from groceries to healthcare, which we know is a significant expense for retirees.
Yes, and if you think about it, many people have seen their retirement savings impacted by this volatility. They might be hesitant to retire now, thinking they need to work longer to make up for the losses.
That's such a common feeling. I've spoken to several people who thought they were on track, but now they're feeling anxious about how much they'll actually need to sustain their lifestyle in retirement.
It's so understandable. And then there's the whole issue of taxes. With potential changes coming down the line, being tax efficient is crucial.
Totally. I read an article recently about how retirees are often surprised by their tax bills. They assume their income will drop, but with Social Security and any withdrawals from retirement accounts, it can actually push them into a higher tax bracket.
That's a great point. A Coast Fire strategy can help with that, as it encourages you to save aggressively while you're still working, but allows you to take a more relaxed approach once you hit a certain savings threshold.
Yeah, and that can really alleviate some stress. Speaking of stress, I think it's also important to acknowledge the emotional side of financial security in retirement.
Absolutely. Many people overlook that aspect. It's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about peace of mind. I've had clients who were so worried about market fluctuations that they couldn't enjoy their retirement.
Right! And it's such a shame because retirement should be a time of enjoyment. I remember one couple I spoke to who had planned a big trip to Europe, but they were so fixated on their investments that they almost canceled.
That's a perfect example. They could have benefited from a strategy that provided them more flexibility, like Coast Fire, where they could enjoy their life without constantly stressing about market performance.
Exactly. And let's not forget about healthcare costs, which just keep rising. A recent study showed that a couple retiring at age 65 could need upwards of $300,000 just for medical expenses. That's a staggering amount.
It really is. And that's why having a plan that accounts for those potential costs is so important. And unfortunately, many people underestimate those expenses.
Right. It's like they think, Medicare will cover it all. But that's not the case. There are co-pays, premiums, and other out-of-pocket costs that can really add up.
Yeah, and as we age, the likelihood of needing long-term care also increases. It's something that can eat into savings really quickly if you're not prepared.
So true. And then there's the legacy aspect. People often want to leave something behind for their kids or grandkids. With the current economic trends, planning for that becomes even more critical.
Absolutely. If you've spent all your savings just trying to maintain your lifestyle, there won't be much left to pass on. Coast Fire can help you create that balance, saving enough while still enjoying your retirement years.
And it's not just about saving. It's about enjoying the journey, right? I think that's what makes this strategy appealing to so many people.
Yes, it's about creating that freedom. You can still work part-time or pursue passions without feeling tied down by finances.
And that brings us to the importance of having a flexible strategy that adapts to your needs as you move through different phases of retirement.
Exactly. You know, the reality is that the world is changing, and the traditional retirement plan may not fit everyone anymore. With everything we've talked about, it's clear that a coast-fire strategy can offer a fresh perspective.
It really can. And I think it's a great way to navigate the complexities we're facing right now. So what do you say we dive into some core strategies for implementing this approach?
Sounds like a plan. Let's break it down. So, Emily, let's dive into some core strategies for the coast-fire approach. One of the first things to consider is how you allocate your assets. You want to ensure that your investments are set up to grow, but also to provide some stability as you get closer to retirement.
Right, and I think a good starting point is looking at the stock and bond mix. A common rule of thumb is the 70-30th portfolio, right? That's 70% in stocks and 30% in bonds?
Exactly. That's a good balance for many people, especially if you're younger and have time for your investments to recover from market dips. Stocks tend to offer higher returns over the long run, but bonds can provide that stability when things get volatile.
And in terms of tax-advantaged accounts, I know you often talk about 401ks and IRAs. Can you explain how those fit into the coast-fire strategy?
Sure. With a 401k, you get that immediate tax benefit, which is great for your current income. If your employer matches contributions, that's free money. Definitely take full advantage of that. Then you've got IRAs, including both traditional and Roth options. The Roth IRA is particularly useful for those looking at coast-fire, since you pay taxes on your contributions now, but withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
So, if someone expects their tax rate to be higher in retirement, then a Roth might be the way to go?
Exactly. You want to think about your future income. If you're anticipating a higher tax bracket later, paying taxes now could save you a lot down the road.
And what about the withdrawal strategies? I've heard a lot about the 4% rule. Can you break that down?
Sure. The 4% rule is a guideline that suggests you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year, adjusted for inflation, without running out of money over a 30-year retirement. So if you have $1 million saved, you could safely withdraw about $40,000 a year.
But it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right?
Absolutely. It's more of a starting point. Depending on your expenses, lifestyle, and other income sources, you might need to adjust that percentage. Some people might find they can withdraw less, especially if they have other income streams.
Like Social Security, for instance?
Exactly. Social Security can be a significant part of your retirement income. Understanding when to claim it is crucial. Delaying your benefits up to age 70 can increase your monthly payout significantly.
So let's say someone plans to retire at 65, but wants to wait until 70 to claim Social Security. How does that impact their planning?
Well, they'll need to create a financial plan to cover those 5 years without Social Security. This is where the coast-fire strategy really shines. If they've already built a solid investment portfolio, they can draw from that to bridge the gap.
And that brings us back to asset allocation. You mentioned the importance of diversifying investments. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Diversification is key to managing risk. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. A well-diversified portfolio might include a mix of stocks, bonds, real estate, and maybe even some alternative investments.
Real estate. Now that's interesting. How does that fit into the coast-fire strategy?
Real estate can be a great way to generate passive income, especially if you invest in rental properties. It's not entirely without risk, but if done right, it can provide a steady income stream during retirement. Plus, it can appreciate over time.
And speaking of income, how do annuities play into this? They seem to be a hot topic lately.
Annuities can provide a guaranteed income stream, which can be particularly appealing for people worried about outliving their savings. However, it's essential to understand the fees and terms before committing. They're not for everyone, but they can be a useful tool in some situations.
So looking at everything we've discussed, what are some practical steps someone can take to start implementing these strategies?
First, evaluate your current financial situation. What do your savings look like? Next, determine your retirement goals. How much do you want to spend annually in retirement? Once you have that, You can start developing your asset allocation and decide how much to contribute to your retirement accounts.
And don't forget about tax strategies. Being tax efficient can really help maximize your retirement savings.
Exactly. Utilizing tax loss harvesting, for instance, can help offset gains in your portfolio. And making sure you're contributing to tax-advantaged accounts like your 401k or IRA can help you save on taxes now and in the future.
It sounds like there's a lot to keep track of, which can be overwhelming.
It can be, but breaking it down into smaller steps makes it more manageable. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Just start with what you can control and build from there.
That's a good reminder. As we're discussing these strategies, what are some common pitfalls you see people fall into?
One common mistake is underestimating expenses in retirement. Many people think they'll spend significantly less, but often it's the opposite. Healthcare costs, travel, and hobbies can add up quickly.
And that could really impact their withdrawal strategy, right?
Exactly. If you underestimate your expenses, it can lead to a shortfall in your savings. Another pitfall is not having a clear understanding of their investment risk tolerance. People often get scared during market downturns and pull out at the wrong time.
That's so true. It's crucial to have a plan and stick to it, even when things get rocky.
Right. Staying the course and revisiting your plan regularly is essential. Life changes, and your financial situation might change too, so it's good to adjust as needed. But don't make hasty decisions based on short-term market fluctuations.
It sounds like balance and a solid plan are key components of the Coast Fire strategy.
Absolutely, Emily. It's about making informed decisions and being proactive about your financial future.
Well, it seems we've covered a lot of ground today. Thank you, David, for all these insights. I know our listeners will find this information invaluable as they navigate their retirement planning.
My pleasure, Emily. I'm glad to share these strategies.
And for everyone listening, stay tuned as we dig deeper into the common pitfalls in retirement planning next.
You know, Emily, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make in retirement planning is underestimating the sequence of returns risk.
Absolutely. It's like, if you hit a downturn right when you start withdrawing from your savings, it can really throw a wrench in your plans, right?
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him Tom. He retired in 2008, right at the peak of the financial crisis. He started withdrawing from his investments just as they were tanking.
Oof, that's tough. What happened to him?
Well, Tom had to go back to work after a few years because his portfolio took such a hit. He hadn't factored in that the timing of his withdrawals could significantly affect how long his savings would last.
That's such a common pitfall. So what would you suggest to someone like Tom or anyone planning for retirement?
I always tell my clients to have a strategy that accounts for market volatility. Like, maybe having a cash reserve to cover the first few years of expenses can really help mitigate that risk.
That makes total sense. And then there's the issue of ignoring taxes and withdrawals, right?
Yes. Taxes can really sneak up on you. I had another client, let's call her Linda. She didn't realize that withdrawing from her traditional IRA would push her into a higher tax bracket.
Wow, that's a big surprise for anyone.
Right? She ended up paying way more in taxes than she anticipated, which meant less money for her day-to-day living.
So how can someone avoid that?
It's all about understanding the tax implications of your withdrawals. A good strategy might include a mix of taxable and tax-deferred accounts to manage that tax burden effectively.
Speaking of managing expenses, we can't forget about healthcare costs. It can be a huge factor in retirement.
Absolutely. People often underestimate how much they'll need for healthcare in retirement. I had a couple, let's call them Mike and Sarah. They thought they had enough saved, but they hadn't considered long-term care or unexpected medical expenses.
That's a big oversight. What happened with them?
Well, they ended up having to dip into their retirement savings more than they planned because of some unexpected health issues. It really put a strain on their budget.
It's so important to plan for that, isn't it? What do you recommend?
I suggest looking into long-term care insurance or having a dedicated healthcare fund so you're not caught off guard. It's about being proactive rather than reactive.
Definitely. And then there's the issue of longevity. People are living longer these days, and that can really affect your planning.
Yes, and that ties back to the sequence of returns risk too. If you retire at 65 and live until 95, You need to ensure your money lasts for those extra years.
Right. I imagine a lot of people think, oh, I'll just work a few more years if I need to, but that's not always a viable plan.
Exactly. I had a client who thought they could just pick up some part-time work later on. But when health issues arose, it became impossible for them to work.
That's a tough lesson. What's the takeaway here?
Ideally, you should have a diversified portfolio that can withstand those long retirement years. Regularly reassessing your plan is crucial too.
And speaking of diversification, poor asset allocation can really throw people off course, can it?
For sure. I remember working with a couple who were overly conservative in their investments. They had most of their savings in cash and bonds, thinking it was safer.
But that can lead to missed opportunities for growth, right?
Absolutely. When inflation kicked in, they found their purchasing power dwindling. And it was a real wake-up call.
So how can someone manage their asset allocation better?
It's important to periodically review your investment strategy. I usually recommend a mix that aligns with your risk tolerance and retirement timeline.
And then there's the whole Social Security claiming strategy. A lot of folks claim too early, thinking they'll miss out if they wait.
Yes, I had a client. Let's call her Susan. She claimed her benefits at 62, thinking it was the right move. But when she saw how much her monthly payments dropped compared to waiting until 70, she regretted it.
That's a tough lesson. What would you say to someone considering their options?
I suggest evaluating how long you plan to work and whether you can afford to wait. Sometimes, waiting a few extra years can significantly increase your monthly benefit.
So it sounds like there are a lot of red flags to watch for in retirement planning.
Absolutely. It's all about being aware and proactive. Make sure you're regularly checking in on your finances, and don't hesitate to reach out for professional guidance if you're feeling uncertain.
That's such a good point. It's never too late to adjust your strategy.
Right, and even if you've made some of these common mistakes, there are always ways to recover.
So what's the first step someone should take if they're realizing they might be off course?
The first step is to take a deep breath and assess your current situation. Look at your income sources, expenses, and how long your savings will last.
And then maybe talk to a financial advisor, right?
Exactly. They can help you create a personalized plan that addresses any gaps and puts you on a path toward a more secure retirement.
That sounds like a solid plan.
It really is. You can make adjustments now that will pay off in the long run.
Well, it seems there are definitely strategies to avoid these pitfalls.
For sure. And being informed is your best defense.
Absolutely. I'm excited to dive into more of this in the next part of our discussion.
Me too. All right, so let's dive into the next steps and tools that you can start using today to really embrace that coast fire strategy.
Yeah, I love that idea. So where do we begin?
Well, first off, one of the easiest things you can do is to check in on your current retirement accounts. Platforms like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab have some fantastic retirement calculators. These tools can help you get an idea of where you stand and what you need to do to reach your goals.
Absolutely. And it's so important to keep that information up to date.
Exactly. And while you're at it, consider running some retirement projections. Just plug in your numbers and see how your savings might grow over time. It's pretty eye-opening.
Right? And for those who might feel a little overwhelmed by the numbers, there are also some great financial planning apps out there.
Yes, apps like Mint or Personal Capital can help you track your spending and savings in real time. They can also give you a clearer picture of your financial health.
And don't forget about Social Security. Going to ssa.gov can be really beneficial. You can estimate your benefits based on your earnings record.
Oh, for sure. Knowing your potential Social Security income is a big piece of the puzzle. It helps you see how much you might actually need to save on your own.
And what about tax planning?
Great point. Using tax software like TurboTax or H&R Block can help you understand your tax situation, especially as you get closer to retirement. You want to make sure you're maximizing your tax efficiency.
Right, and sometimes it's just about breaking it down into manageable habits.
Yes. For instance, I recommend reviewing your portfolio quarterly. Just a quick check-in to see if you're on track with your asset allocation or if any adjustments are needed.
That's a smart tip. And it doesn't have to take a ton of time, right?
Exactly. Just set aside an hour every few months. And you can also run those retirement projections regularly, maybe annually or even semi-annually. It's a good way to stay on top of your progress.
And speaking of habits, What about reading or listening to resources that could help?
Definitely. There are some fantastic books out there on retirement planning. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins is a great starting point. It's straightforward and really empowering.
Oh, I love that one. And podcasts can be a goldmine too.
For sure. Choosify is a great podcast that dives deep into financial independence and can really motivate you.
That's a good one. And I think it's important to remember that it's never too late to improve your plan.
Exactly. No matter where you are in your journey, there are always steps you can take to get closer to your goals. It's all about starting small and making consistent progress.
And that progress can lead to such a sense of security and peace of mind.
Absolutely. So with these tools in your pocket, you're ready to strengthen your retirement plan.
And with that, let's bring everything we've discussed together.
Well, Emily, it's been quite a journey exploring the Coast Fire strategy today.
Absolutely, David. I think we really unpacked some vital points, didn't we?
For sure. So, just to recap, one of the key takeaways is that the Coast Fire strategy allows you to focus on enjoying life now, while still ensuring you have enough saved for retirement later.
Right. And it's all about that balance. Being intentional with your finances, but also not sacrificing your current happiness for the sake of future wealth.
Exactly. Another important point we discussed is the flexibility it offers. You can adjust your savings and investments based on your lifestyle and career changes.
And let's not forget about the importance of understanding your expenses. Knowing what you need for your retirement lifestyle can really help you plan effectively, right?
Absolutely. And I think one last takeaway is the power of starting early. Even small contributions can grow significantly over time.
Yes, every little bit counts. It's really empowering to realize that you can build and protect your retirement wealth in a way that suits your unique situation.
Definitely. So to everyone listening, take these insights to heart. Think about your own financial journey. And remember, it's never too late to start or adjust your plan.
And if you found this episode helpful, please like, subscribe, and share your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have in the comments.
And don't forget to share this episode with someone who's planning for or is already in retirement. It could really make a difference for them.
Next time, we'll dive into something many people overlook, an estate planning checklist for beginners. It's going to be super informative.
That's right, Emily. Estate planning is such an important topic. We hope you'll join us for that.
Until then, take care, and remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Absolutely. Goodbye for now.
Bye, everyone.